Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zero. Let's get to it. So today we're doing the deep dive, codenamed Scout's Face. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. Stage 1 of the deep dive has you taking out a Dreadnought, which is the boss-like creature of the Deep Rock Galactic universe. Depending on which one that you get, or in this case combination, will determine what strategy you use. Lacerated or Arbalest, you want to divvy up the damage between the two of them so it is more or less even. If you do too much damage on one of them, they will disappear. When they reappear, they will share, or they will heal. So one gets a little damage, but the other one gets a whole lot of health. So it's best for you just to damage both of them more or less equally. So if one starts getting uneven, make sure that you're putting damage on the other one. Because you don't want to wait until you're like, oh man, that's a big difference in health. Because then it's too late. They're going to burrow down, and when they pop back up, they're going to be healing. So it's best to keep that damage even between the two of them. The biggest threat is trying to keep an eye on where they're at, because they will burrow and then reappear in a different location. The best way to track them is to put your pointer on them and then point them out to your teammates, and then that will keep a tracker on them for a few seconds, so you can keep track of where they're at even after they burrow. Now once you get them down in health far enough, you can go ahead and take one of them out. Once that happens, then of course it doesn't matter. You just pile on the damage onto the last one until it's gone. Now this is a good time to point out that the deep dive is a 3-stage raid-like environment where you can play solo with your buddy Bosco, or with up to 3 other players, either match-made or pre-made. Now in this stage you also have 2 objectives. The first, of course, was the Dreadnought. The second one is Morkite, so you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for that. And in addition, there's Rival Presence as a modifier. That means you're going to see turrets and shredders and patrol bots, etc. So in addition to keeping your eyes open for the Morkite, and I brought my Dark Morkite with me, so I get a buff for all the Morkite that I mine. Basically doubles. So it took a lot less time to get the necessary Morkite. And while you're looking for Morkite, also keep your eyes open for gold and Nitra. Gold, of course, will give you credits at the end of the deep dive. Nitra will let you call in supplies as you start to run low. If you're playing with 4 players, each player will get a 50% boost in all your grenades and ammo. If you're playing by yourself or with one other player, one resupply will completely give you all the resources, all the ammo that you can hold. So if that's the case, make sure that you call it in at the appropriate time. If it's 3 or 4 players, when someone's getting down to around 50%. If you're single or playing duo, then of course call it in when you're getting almost empty. Once you have your Morkite mined and your Dreadnought taken care of, then you can make your way out. Call in the drop pod and get out. You can either follow the mule back, or if you think you know the way, go ahead and make your way back and then wait for the mule to dock so you can get out.
Sticking it to the
Good news, team. The wave is thinning
Now
out.
this is a good time to point out that everything carries over from one stage to the next. That includes your supplies, your grenades, your health. Everything carries over, including what's in your pockets. So if you didn't have time to deposit everything in the mule or the side of the drop pod, it'll still be there in the next stage of the deep dive. Just remember that you will want to deposit it at some point. So quickly make your way over. You have plenty of time in this stage, 5 minutes.
Nicely done.
But
express elevator to hell, heading
don't
out.
wait around too long as you're going on your way out. Of course, keep your eyes out open for gold and nitro. So done with stage 1, on to stage 2. Stage 2 of the deep dive has you taking out 2 dreadnoughts this time around and repairing
You reached
2
the second
mini
stage of the
mules.
deep dive. Complete
And
your
this one
objectives.
has
We'll send
the modifier critical weakness, so when you hit the bugs in the weak point, they do, or they take bonus damage.
sticky grenade.
So it's good to be hitting them in the weak point, because you're going to get more bang for your buck in terms of your ammo. So you won't have to use as much ammo to take these guys out. Now once again, dreadnoughts are the boss-like creatures. This time around, it's the Glyphid Dreadnought, which has an invulnerable stage, a shielded stage, and then a damage phase. And then you just rinse and repeat to get them taken care of. Do as much damage during the damage phase. When they're invulnerable, just run away from them. And then, of course, when they're shielded, get that shield down so you can get to the damage phase. Now the mini mules, of course, you'll want to keep your eyes and ears open because they'll pulse with that green light, but they'll also ping. So you may be able to see them first, or you might hear them first. Scan them, and then the legs will pulse with a faint white light. They'll also be on the train scanner. Now while you're doing this, enemies do tend to spawn, so make sure that you're ready and defensible when you've got this mini mule that you're trying to put back together. Now once you take care of the small swarm of enemies that pop up, go ahead and get that mini mule repaired. Once you have that mini mule repaired, it's good to go. This is not a full salvage mission, so you won't have to worry about that. Now, unlike the normal missions where you have one primary objective and one optional objective, Deep Dive has 2 mandatory objectives before you can move on to the next stage. Now, don't forget about that second dreadnought that you have to deal with. This time around, I got the Hive Guard, which has the invulnerable stage where you have to take out sentinels. And then it goes to that shielded stage where it has these little antennae poking out, or whatever you want to call them. You have to take each one of those out, and then once you do that, then you can go on to the damage phase. During the damage phase, the dreadnought will not move, but it will turn. So do as much damage during the damage phase as possible, and then once it's invulnerable, look for those sentinels, take them out. And then you're ready to go. Once you have both mini mules and both dreadnoughts taken care of, then you can call in the drop pod and make your way out. If you want, you can kind of scan the area, look for more gold and nitro before you leave, or if you're ready to move on, go ahead and call in that drop pod and get out. Don't leave any resupplies that are still there on the supply pods because they won't do you any good. They don't carry over from one stage to the next. Once you use that nitro, you gotta take all of the resupplies or lose them. So once again, you're gonna make your way back to the drop pod. You're gonna have to deal with these swarms of enemies that are gonna be trying to take you down while you're doing that. And as always, use your traversal tools to make your way back, using whatever you have in your repertoire to make it easier for you to get from point A to point B, as sometimes the mule will go up vertically and it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah! Rock and stone!
But once the mule docks, you don't have to wait for the mini mules to dock. You can go ahead and get on and get out.
Launch sequence.
And that is it for stage 2.
Drop pod to power
On to
in
stage
T-minus
3.
4
Now, one of the
minutes.
main reasons to do the deep dive is for the
Solid work,
matrix
team.
cores.
Time to go deeper.
And the matrix cores will give you either cosmetics for your guns, skins, or even overclocks for your weapons, making them more powerful. Third stage of the deep dive has you doing a full salvage mission, plus mining Morkite.
Some sugar.
So we do have a theme, mini mules, dreadnoughts, and Morkite. This time around, though, we have Swarmageddon as a modifier. That means you're going to see a lot of swarmers on this level, as they will spawn every couple of minutes. So you're going to want to go through this stage probably as quickly as possible, more so than the rival presence stage, because swarmers can overwhelm you rather quickly, especially if you're by yourself. So scan the mini mule, look for those legs, reattach the legs, and then repair the mini mule. Now once you have both of the mini mules repaired, you're still not done, because in addition to the mini mules, we also have that Morkite prerequisite before you can get out.
Mule repaired.
So you might be like, yes,
All mini
I got
mules
both mini
accounted
mules,
for.
let's
Well
go.
done, team.
And then you're like,
Objective
oh wait,
completed. Get back to
where's the
drop pod
button?
at your leisure.
Where's the button? And then you're like, oh, Morkite. So look around, scour the level for the necessary Morkite. If you have the dark Morkite brew like I did, it'll be a little bit easier because you won't need nearly as much Morkite, as many veins as someone who does not.
Platform!
So get that Morkite taken care of, and then you'll be ready to progress into the level. Now, unlike other levels, once you have these
Platforms placed.
objectives complete, you won't be able to get out right away, because this is a full salvage mission, which means that you'll have to use the derelict drop pod that is already on the level, and you will have to reconnect it with the space rig, and of course resupply it with fuel, and then wait for it to power up so that you can make your way out.
Support fire,
So
please!
once you get everything deposited and the mini mules working again,
One sentry gun.
that's only about half of it. The other half is actually making your way out.
Arm!
But once you send it, make sure that you're ready to go. Set up your defenses, whatever that happens to be. Make sure you call in some resupplies,
Eat lead!
at least within the circle of where
Objective
the
completed.
uplink and or the fuel cells are going to be.
The mules are heading
And
back.
do your best
Follow,
to
and let's get that drop pod fixed.
use that zone control,
Remember, you can
use your
always
weapons,
deposit
use
on
your
the side of the
defenses
drop
to your
pod.
advantage, and then get out.
Nitro's been
And that's
withdrawn,
it.
and supply
I hope
pod
you
is
enjoyed this
inbound.
video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing.
All mules
And
are
we'll see you
secured.
next
Now to
time.
get the pod working. First, establishing a proper connection between the pod and the space rig. Set up the uplink.
Sticking it to the bunks! Grabbing ammo. Yes. I'm taking some of the ammo. Reloading. I made a platform. Platform up. Go lie down forever! One platform, ready to use.
Uplink ready. Triangulation initiated. Do not leave the triangulation zone or we will lose the connection. We only got one shot at this.
Hexawing down! Die, you double-jointed freaks! Die! Bah! Hexawings annoy me!
Triangulation at 50%.
Reloading! Be gone! Glyphid Praetorian eliminated! Bring the pain!
Triangulation at 75%. Almost there.
Sticky boo! Reload it! Don't waste your ammunition!
Uplink triangulation completed. Remote control reestablished. Stand by, sending in fresh fuel cells for the drop pod.
Go fetch!
Fuel cells arrived. Connect them to the drop pod by dragging out the charge cable.
Slut! Attack!
Charge cable plugged in. Prep the fuel cells for charge sequence. Supply drop has been ordered and is on the way.
Access provided. Resupply pod is here. Everybody collect ammunition. Platform! Platform created. Platforms placed. Platform! Access provided. Bug Trap 2.0. Platform created. I made a platform. Resupply ordered.
Supply pod launched. Better stand back.
Down the hatch. Ready to kill some more crates. Sentry gun needs assembling. Much better. Sticky, ticky grenade deployed. Reloading. Come and get me, you disgusting bug!
Fuel cells charging. Stay close to keep them operational. We're expecting an increase in hostiles.
Getting more ammo! Die, creep!
Fuel cells at 50%.
Platform up!
Fuel cells at 75%. You're almost there.
Reloading! Don't get too attached now! Should have left my nose on the bloody spice rig!
Fuel cells fully charged. Drop pod engine powering up. Hold your ground. We're almost ready to pull you and the goods out.
I'm gonna kill you all! Sticky grenade!
Pod reactor spooling up.
Resupply ordered!
Roger that. Supplies are coming. Onboard mainframe booting.
Platform! Time to restock!
Calculating orbital trajectory.
One platform, ready to use. See you later! Platform!
Powering radiation shielding.
Platform! One sentry gun, ready to be built.
ECOM operational.
Reloading! Why am I
Pod thrusters calibrated.
out? Getting supplies! Ammo taken.
Drop pod powered up and ready to leave. It's time to bring it all home. Get on board, we're leaving with or without you.
Bug trap 2.0. Ammo taken. Getting more ammo. Die like your mother dead. Sentry gun needs assembling. Sentry off. Sticky grenade! Sticky grenade deployed. Snake on.
Good work. We're pulling you back in.
For rock and stone! You!